How do you see Patreon fitting into your long-term goals? Do you see it winding down as the business becomes self-sufficient, or is it like an integral part of your business model going forward? How do you see the future of it?
My plan is to move it over to an owned and operated site because the problem is I think far too many people view Patreon as a donation service. They have made changes internally and with how they market their company so that they can get away from it, but
that is
from
how
people
it's
that
known,
Patreon's not there every day.
Yeah.
They don't look at it like they still see it as like a donation service. So once again, the way that we view ourselves is it's transaction. You're getting all this stuff. Obviously, it's fan funding in the sense of the same way like when you sell a shirt, when you sell merch, because all that money is going right back into trying to create more and more content, right? When someone buys a shirt, they're not buying the shirt because it's just like pretty cool, right? They're wanting to buy it because it's supporting you, right? Because they're part of something. But my thing, especially after what happened today, my plan was to move off in 2 to 3 years. I think that unless something else changes or there's a communication issue, I do not want to be liable for other people's choices, right? The whole point of everything that we've done is so that I'm a master of my own future, right? And so when someone just fucking changes everything, like your core, the thing that has made you bulletproof, we still deal with it, like demonetization issues today. The people that are on DeFranco Elite, that get the stuff, they're supporting us that way. They make my show bulletproof. I don't have to worry about demonetization. I don't have to worry about what we're seeing more and more of these fucking crowds of people that don't like what you say and they find some shit you said like 20 years ago out of context and then they try and make you lose your job, lose your sponsor. I don't have to worry about that because I have an audience that supports what we're doing. They're here for what I'm doing and here for what we're building.
Right.
And that's, I mean, it's fantastic. As far as it winding down, we knew that in the first year that there would be initial drop-off. There are people that just support, want to be there, and then they'd leave. But our long-term thing is releasing content early, some exclusive stuff, but it's mainly a focus on the early content because we want to, especially with what we talk about, we want to make sure that that gets out there because we're always trying to have a conversation about news and pop culture because I think it's important to have an actual dialogue and not just scream at each other when you can. Sometimes you still do.
Right. I got one more follow-up question about the Patreon. There's a lot of people who, I guess, criticize people who have Patreons because I guess there's a distinction, like you said, about a donation versus a subscription model or something.
Right. And I think that there are people on the site that do it in that way. I think even you guys were referencing that you would, when you had one, you used it in that way.
Definitely.
And I think that they exist in both places. And you can usually tell the difference based on, are you getting something or are you not getting something, right? And I mean in a per month, right? Content, things, my merch business is integrated into what we do there. But yeah, wait, sorry, I cut your question off.
Well, so the point that I'm getting at is that a lot of the criticism that people levy against some people on Patreon, something that you do too, is that they hide the amount of money they get. They only show the number of Patreons they have. And so my question is, what is your
reasoning?
Or what is your reasoning for hiding the dollar amount?
Well, I would say one, we choose just to not show it. I think when you start a conversation with hide, it automatically seems like something nefarious.
I guess
is happening.
Sure.
No, I think it's 100% a valid question. It is a valid question, and I am glad that it's coming from someone that has not been salivating to try and destroy my career in one way or another for years. So I don't show it because we don't see it, once again, as donations. If it was a donation site, like when there was the legal fund, right? Of course, show it. But I see what we're doing, once again, as very close to Rooster Teeth first. We're in like the infancy of it. More and more of the content is being made. Content, stuff, access, all that is, there's a one-to-one transaction. So in one way, it's the same reason why any other small business that has a subscription service like that wouldn't say, this is how much money we're making every individual month, that you're going to dissect and then start trying to make one-to-one comparisons. The second is, while I think that a lot of my audience understands business, like we go kind of, our demo is very much like people that are entrepreneurs and trying to move forward, whether they're in the infancy of that or they are. There are enough people that do not understand everything that goes into building a business, not just operating, but growing, that I think it would be too damaging. People not taking into account that all of that money is obviously taxable. All of that money, I have to pay salaries. On top of that, benefits. I have to not only have insurance on all our gear, but if I have I have a plan in case someone doesn't like some shit I said about them and they're going to try and sue me into silence.
Really?
Yeah, well, I have to.
Is there insurance for that? There's
I had a conversation today. They're like, you're covered you're covered on everything, and then in addition, we have an umbrella package.
Right.
Right?
We can't get that because we've been sued before.
Really?
We can't get umbrella packages.
Oh, that was what we were trying to get?
There's like a liability against lawsuits for like defamation or copyright. We can't get it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there's all that. Then there's rent, utilities. There's probably stuff that I'm not even thinking of right now. And the only thing that I feel then comfortable in sharing, and I think it's the reason why it's so frustrating to me, is like I'm paying myself less money than I made last year. I'm paying myself 7 figures less than what I could have signed a deal for if I just wanted to make money. If I wanted, because once again, everyone's trying to, or not everyone, the people that are trying to go after me, and most of them are doing it with really bad information. I don't know if they're peddling bullshit or they know that they are lying. I do not want to just assume someone's lying to kind of try and go for my throat. People try and muddy the water and they'll say like Philip DeFranco, he's worth $20 million. And then in the same thing, they'll say like 8 million. And like, that's a fucking range. Both of those are wrong, by the way.
Yeah.
And then they'll reference Philip DeFranco. He was a founder of Maker Studios. That dude's fucking loaded. What about the part that it's public information? If you just do a fucking little bit of research, I got a fucking nothing. I got nothing from that sale, right? And that's
a big difference.
By
That's
the
a
way,
whole
you
legal
must
matter.
feel really bad about that.
No, I think it feeds into.
I'm kidding. About the makers.
No,
Yeah.
I was. But
Really?
when I say things like, for me, it's not about the money. Like for me, making money. That it's like there are so many different avenues. I could cut from why am I growing a 16-person staff when I had 6? When I could just cut down to 2, and just do the Philip DeFranco show, cut everything else out, and make more money. It just doesn't make sense. And it's just generally frustrating. And I don't know. I just had it in my head of what else I wanted to say. I try not to engage when anyone tries to fling shit at me, because if you engage once, they expect you to engage on everything, and then if you don't, they're like, well, that's a tell. And it's like, no, I just don't want to deal with the obviously incorrect bullshit. Like the people the people going at me, they're the same people that could fucking use some extra money for maybe a proper research team when the person involved is someone that's fucking falsely accused someone of being a pedophile, and then, oh, it's okay though. They apologized afterwards. Or when it's the same person that's fucking, I don't want to use his name because he feeds off of it, but the same person that when I was talking about the Daddy of 5 story, threatened to say that I was abusing my child. He has deleted that video. He said, if the kids from the Daddy of 5 family get taken away, I'm gonna say child abuse with you. And I'm like, you're gonna make a false child abuse claim? You fucking, like, that's the kind of person that goes after you. And I try not to engage. I try and do nothing. And it's so frustrating to see someone that's, I don't know. It's disgusting. It's disgusting.
It's always really frustrating to see wrong information about yourself out there in general. We've seen it too about ourselves. Not even related to who is saying what. Just it's so frustrating to know, wait, this is wrong. But
when you get to a certain...
Also, wait, I want to say, there's a picture that says, and it's such a genius move. Well, it's either genius or incredibly stupid. There is a picture that they don't do any research into all the stuff we've built out, which we've been very public about. If you watch like a vlog or tweets or fucking anything, they're like, the most he gets, or the most he's done with his Patreon is he changed his pillows, right? And then they say, and that's what he gets for $250,000 a month on Patreon, which I will say is an absurd and ridiculous number. Now it's idiotic if they actually think I make that, or it's genius because they're throwing out such a bullshit number that they're like, well, then what is it? And then I still stand by the same reasons of why we don't choose to share that number, especially with, I mean, once again, we were talking about it. I do plan to move it off because I understand why there is a connotation with Patreon and donations, and that's in no way what we see ourselves as, and in no way what we're doing. It's fan funding in the sense of selling a shirt, giving a product, giving videos, etc. Anyway, that felt good.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think the analogy that you made about other subscription services, because it's a business, it's the backbone of your business.
Yeah.
And I mean, if the people who subscribe to your Patreon are satisfied,
right? And that was one of the things too. It's like one person didn't get their poster, and they're like, Philip DeFranco scamming his fans. Right. They're paying for posters, and I'm like, one person? Have you ever mass shipped a product? Shit breaks, shit gets lost. That's why we have a person that's dedicated to make sure you get your shit. Mm-hmm. Like, that's why that person gets paid. Make sure you use that person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Patreon thing is really, it's tough because, like, I think the separation of it, I think the point that you make is the most important, of separating it out from subscription to straight up donation, right?
Right.
Like, that's the reason we closed ours so long ago, because we're like, look, we recognize that taking your money at this point is disingenuous because we're self-sufficient now.
And at the time we used it, we really needed the money. Right. It was really helpful, but that was a different case. Like, that was before AdSense made any money for us, or before we had any sponsors. So it was really just a donation-based thing. Yeah, but what you're describing is actually different.
Yeah, it's really, I've always been torn on the whole Patreon thing.
And that's the thing. Like, I can't get angry at people that are being fed information that's wrong, or they just have like that connotation in their head of, oh, okay, that's a donation thing.
The connotation is
there.
But
the thing that's frustrating is the people that then lean into bullshit, even though the actual information, if you just do your work, especially
if you're going to... It's just a juicy story.
All the pieces, like all the attempts to hit me, all it did was make me feel such an appreciation for iDubbbz. Like, when he goes after you, he hits you clean, and you just have to watch the video and be like, well, fuck me. Like, then you watch other people and you're like, oh shit, this is some bush league. Did you need the AdSense? Also, wait, I want to point something out, right? Because I'm so ridiculous. I screenshot this because it was so priceless. The guy, the guy, I don't want to mention his name, that went after me for having a Patreon, which gives us stability, gives us safety, is helping us grow. I think within 24 hours of that same video, he tweeted, had enough of YouTube, demonetized my videos, so I appealed and it gets monetized. I wake up again and it's demonetized again. Mm-hmm. Overnight, my views have been cut in half and my videos have been getting demonetized like crazy. So demotivated.
Right.
Fuck you.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, they're like, okay, even let's say I agree.
I would have been so sad if my closeout for that was me cracked my phone.
Yeah, that would be pretty funny. Let's say, like, I'm going to look at this from all sides, like, objectively. Like, I have some issues with Patreon. Mm-hmm. I have some reservations about it. But even if I say I feel uncomfortable with the idea of Patreon, you can only scam people on Patreon to an extent. Like, people know what they're getting themselves into.
Right.
They know what they're giving money for.
Right.
And they're free to stop anytime. It's not like you can't really, by the very nature of it, you can't really, I mean, nobody's giving money against their will, and the whole thing itself is pretty upfront, like the whole system of it.
The only way you could be scammed is in two ways.
Scam on Patreon.
Right, so it's you charge for something and then you don't send it out to them, right? So like a poster, which once again, if anyone's ever supported us, you didn't get your shit, contact us. There is an easy way to get it, and the people that don't get it are incredibly in the minority. The second is growth, right? We said that we want to get more videos, get more everything out. But even in the launch video, I say, I don't want to blow smoke up your ass. You're not going to support this. And then instantly this news network exists. It's going to take time. And I'm not saying that just because I want to take my time, but because I know, having built a business before, there are pitfalls. There are things where you're just like, fuck, we can't move on this. Right. This is hard, especially in a business that I personally, I care about trust so much with everyone that we bring on, because I've had so many, well, not so many, some specific horrible instances in the past that I never want to experience again. So yeah, just stuff like that. It's just, I think. But what other problems do you have? Because I want to.
My thing with Patreon is, when I support people on Patreon, I don't really expect. My attitude is that I'm donating to support this person. That's how I see it, and I think that's how most people see it.
There are people that I support just like that.
I support people on Patreon, and I don't expect anything, in exchange. If people are expecting something and they don't get it, like, I don't know. I mean, it depends on the person. It could be a scam. I don't know. Right. And then, like, I guess the other way that you could scam someone is making it sound like you're struggling more. Is that a scam? Implying that you're struggling more than you are?
I mean, if you wouldn't say exactly a scam. I guess it's less That's honest. You should be honest, right? It's dirty,
and
yeah.
I think like in our video, we talked about very risky. I was going from a situation where I had a paycheck no matter what. We could have been getting 3 views per video. I can still take that check to the bank. I'm good. But I had to buy the channel back. I didn't have to, but I took my staff, which then all needed salaries, then lawyers' fees, then the new place, then getting gear if we weren't able to already like get some of the gear in a contract. So it's a lot of initial cost, and also specifically with launching this new thing, you don't know what kind of backlash you're going to get. There have been people that tried to launch things on Patreon, and it like fucking maimed their career. And I think it's just properly explaining what you're going to do with it. It was protecting properties and shows that already exist.
Sorry.
How rude.
Yeah.
No. Protecting properties and shows that already exist, and trying to build out. Because once again, like I want to fill a hole that I see on the internet that bothers me. It's why I do my show. It's why I want to expand. And like even with the shit, it's like, can you imagine if I actually was scamming people? That's fucking career suicide. On top of just being
there'd be more people talking about not getting shit, I would assume.
Right, eventually.
But there might be like a screenshot of like 4 to 10. Oh my goodness. That randomly pops up, and we're gonna believe all of them.
But like, you're free to leave.
And I'm saying that's not even a thing. Right. It's like literally based off of one tweet from a guy that's like, but I don't think he's scamming anybody.
I saw that tweet by Scarce, actually. I thought it was, he's like, I didn't get my stuff, but I think he's good, and the money's going to good use. It's like,
contact us, send a message. I'll also send you a mug. I don't think you're at that tier, but I'll send you a mug.
I was saying to you when we were on break, and I'll say it here too, I think your idea of eventually moving it to a different platform, it's probably a really good idea, because Patreon is just by nature associated with just being a donation.
Right. And I think that once again, I think they're trying to get past it.
They probably will eventually.
But as long as there are people that use it in that manner, which, hey, no hate, there are a lot of small creators that, like, they don't need more shit on their plate in addition to what they're already providing. I think for me personally, just because everything that I do and that connotation, same thing I said on the phone today to Jack Conti, my plan has been expedited to get offsite. Obviously, that's not specifically because of the connotation, but it definitely plays